Welcome, my friends and enemies. Glad you are here. We are, well, by we, I mean me. I'm a little upset, you might say. Um, I don't like the current state of licensing in terms of the legality aspect of it, like how it covers what it covers. And hopefully by the end of this video, you too will be in the same bandwagon by pointing out that it's a very unfortunate position for us to be in. And I personally believe it harms most every single industry it's a part of. Now, please bear with me as we cover these things because it's not something that's entirely covered. I don't think, like, places have covered the topic, but as somebody who's a fan of the franchise, this annoys me to no end. Now, perhaps you have heard of a really cool dude named Keanu Reeves. And he is an excellent actor, despite people thinking he might not be able to actually act. I think he actually acts his nuts off in a good way, not in a bad way. And he's a cool dude. He's a wonderful guy to meet. And he's gentle, kind, compassionate, all the good attributes and virtues that you don't typically see in Hollywood. So he's just an all around good dude. So, like, if I could hang out with some cool people in Hollywood, it'd be like Henry Cavill, Keanu Reeves, etc. I don't know how much we'd have, like, in common, because I mean, Keanu and I would just be like, most excellent, and then me and Henry would be like, let's play some games. I don't know if Keanu plays games, although he's been in obviously Cyberpunk and whatnot. But he had this little itty bitty, hardly ever heard of, nobody ever cares about it, John Wick franchise. And I'm being sarcastically dry about it because everybody knows, if they've been paying attention to any action flicks, period, everyone knows John Wick. It can be over the top, obviously. There's plot devices, but the action is phenomenal, despite it being very little story and plot, being 99.9% just raw action on a very realistic scale with a great color scheme. So, there's this game called John Wick Hex. You probably haven't heard about it because it's kind of it kind of snuck in the back door, shall we say. It was released, it feels like not too long ago, but it's actually been, I think, a couple years. And it's just a little strategy, fast-paced action, I think it's like a top-down shooter last time I checked the actual video footage of it. But it's basically, you just get to kind of relive some of the fast excitement stuff. It's not like anything crazy over the top. It's not like a Skyrim game. It's not like Call of Duty. It's a bit different. But it's got a uniqueness to it. And it's a very stylized, obviously, like its forebearer name. And the legacy is not one that I would call terrible. I would say it's got kind of a comedic position. It's got a bit of a silliness to some of the aspects, like falling off a 3-story building and surviving, kind of a thing. Technically possible, but highly unlikely, considering, I mean, he did have some things to stop his fall on the way down, but it would still hurt. And of course, he gets hurt a lot. He's by no means safe from harm. Now, John Wick Hex has news. So let's get to it. John Wick Hex. John Wick Hex is being removed from sale. If you're a John Wick fan, chances are you've already picked up the only official game in the franchise so far, John Wick Hex. And if not, you might want to pick it up pronto, just in case you might want to play it at some point. See, in a couple days, on July 17th, it's going to start being delisted from various storefronts. Now, I hate to bring this up, but it's already well past the 17th, and I found this out because this was recommended to me as an article way after the point, and I didn't realize it was being delisted, and it made me really upset because I was planning on getting it on Steam, and now I can't unless I go spend money to like a good chunk of money, mind you. Keep in mind, this game was only like 20, maybe $30 when it first came out because it's not a very large game. It's just a pretty fun game. And now it's gone. It's been delisted from PlayStation's, Nintendo Switch. It's been delisted from Xbox, Steam, all the important players in the game. Pun intended. Now, the news comes courtesy of Steam, where notice states that John Wick Hex will be removed from sale on all platforms beginning July 17th, 2025. No reason is given for the game being removed from sale, but chances are it's because of an expired license. That's the joy of games based on popular IP. Of course, you'll still be able to download and play John Wick Hex after the 17th of July if you bought it digitally on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, or PC. Physical copies are also available on console, which you'll still be able to play. It's likely that the price of physical copies of the game will go up, though. So if you don't already own John Wick Hex, perhaps consider picking it up in the next day or so. Otherwise, you might never be able to actually play it. We rather liked it when we played for a review, stating that John Wick Hex has abundance of intuitive and original ideas, and it's fun and engaging to play. And who knows how long it will be after we get another, or until we get another official John Wick game. Now, I really only have one thing to say about this, so I'll just come out and say it.
How do you feel? Because I am really pissed off. You pissed, John? Are you? Yeah.
And that's how I feel about this whole situation. Because it's a great franchise for fun, action, entertainment, all that fun jazz. I realize it's not the most hyper-realistic game from a hyper-realistic series. Sarcastic, obviously. But it is fun. Keanu is a beloved actor. I think people are crazy when they say he can't act because he embodies things. Now, he has a certain way about him that he behaves, and I think he nails it. But, I mean, if you can go from being in Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Adventure and then being a serious character like John Wick, you gotta be out of your mind to think he doesn't have at least some range. I mean, playing Johnny in Cyberpunk and obviously John Wick, and he's played in romance comedies. He's been in a bunch of stuff aside from just Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's obviously been in, I think it's Speed. Is that the right one? I believe. It's been a long time since I watched him. But it's a great franchise. Now, here's the thing about licensing, and it does mention the licensing agreement. Licenses agreements are stupid as they are currently made. Now, what do I mean by that? Basically, if you have a game or a movie or, any particular form of production or product, service, whatever the case might be, that's tied to an IP or something of that nature, whether it be popular or unpopular, doesn't really matter. What they do with a licensing agreement is that they will take it and set it for a specific amount of time. So 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 30 years, whatever the case might be. And you can purchase this license from the IP holder. Now, it's a good deal for the IP holder because they make money off of just selling the license. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to go through production. They don't have to have expenses. They don't do any of that stuff. They just, like John Wick, make a movie, slap that sucker on a movie screen, make your DVDs, your Blu-rays, your whatever, your digital, and just sell the snot out of it. Make your posters and all that stuff. But then it's like, hey, if somebody wants to play a game or make a game for it, they just purchase a license from you. You don't have to do anything. You make some cash, and they play the game or make the game for it and whatever. And then the person who gets to make the game, or a subcategory book or something like that, like whatever the case might be, it could be just inspired by music of John Wick or something, if they want to go that close to the original or use the original stuff. You get a license, and it sounds great in theory. However, the license expiration means that it can no longer be sold after that license expiration. Now, this irks me to no end because, well, for obvious reasons, I don't want to lose access to something that's being produced. And let's say John Wick Hex came out and sold 100,000 copies. And that's actually really good for a game of that, not as large probably of a budget and not that large of a following probably. And it probably sold probably closer to like 5,000 copies or something. It did not sell like crazy well. But again, it started out like $20-$30, right? I think right now, if you get it on Switch, it's like $70. If you buy it on PlayStation 4, it's like $60, maybe $70. And if you go for Xbox, it's about the same, maybe a little bit cheaper, because Xbox is apparently the inferior platform now, which is a shame because it's one I grew up on. But if you have this game being sold and they sell 5,000 copies, say, let's say it gets popular enough on Steam and they sell another 5,000 copies in a Steam sale because it's whatever. Like, because when they discounted it down to $2 right before it was taken off. I'm like, at this point, you might as well just give it away for free, just for the sheer volume of people who might be interested in it. And if the volume of people are interested in enough, you're like, oh wait, we should probably do another one or make another John Wick game of some shape or form. Now you might be wondering where I'm going with this. So I might as well tell you. So with a license, when it finishes, they can't sell it anymore. So that's why it's delisted. You cannot buy it. You can only get what is currently available to you. So Steam keys that are separate from Steam, physical copies of console games, whether it be Xbox, PlayStation, or Switch. And you can re-download it as much as you want once it's been delisted. You just can't purchase it more. Now, there's a problem with this because, let's say, in my example, I wanted to buy it on Steam. Well, I could technically probably find a key for it somewhere and pay a lot more money than $2 to get it. Well, I'd rather pay them $10 or $15 or even $20 for them to just keep it up because I want to support them and hopefully get another one out of them. Or maybe they'll work on a different style of John Wick game, or maybe they'll make games like John Wick more frequently that I can enjoy for whatever reason. It could be the stylized, it could be the music, it could be whatever the case is. I just want them to do what they're doing. And it looked like an indie developer. It didn't look like anything really big. But licensing basically says you can produce something and sell it for, I'm guessing this was like 5 years because it wasn't that long. So for 5 years. And now everything you've built can no longer be used. Why? Now, I understand to a certain aspect. I understand there's a limitation because the license needs to retain value, yada, yada, yada. So I don't have a problem per se with a license having an expiration point. What I do have an issue with is that the product not being sellable after that expiration point as it was made under that agreement. So, for example, let's say John Wick Hex made John Wick Hex, the base game, and then a DLC, right? I don't think it did, but if they did release a DLC or something, the DLC is made within the license agreement time period. Therefore, when it was made and sold in that time period, it's sellable indefinitely. Because what a license agreement should do in terms of being favorable to the market and not just making everything just cease to exist all of a sudden and drive prices up to skyrocket levels. What they should be able to do is still be able to choose to sell it as many times as they want. So basically, I'll give an example. John Wick Hex, they buy the John Wick IP license to make a video game. I think you have to specify it's for a video game. You can't just pick every avenue and just, I have John Wick license there, I can do whatever. But you pick, I'm gonna make a video game with John Wick. So you make John Wick Hex. The license expires. Well, all they managed to produce with that license is John Wick Hex. So all they can sell indefinitely is John Wick Hex. Now, does this hurt the license people? Well, no, because they got money out of it. They've already sold the IP name. So no matter if they made $20 billion with that license or if they made $5 with that license, the money that was paid for the license is paid for the license, and that's that. Now, there could be potentials of if you sell so much, we get a percentage cut. I'm not necessarily against it, but I feel that could be abused by the IP holders. And I say abused by the IP holders because they can basically force people, if they want to have something, they're going to hold it hostage for an indefinite amount of money. And it could be, it's like, well, originally we were going to, charge you, $10,000 for 10 years, so about $1,000 a year to just build your game, sell your game, market your game, all that stuff, where all that extra money still lies on to the person who's making the product. And then when it comes down to it, you take it as the creator and you make it, you do all that stuff, then you sell it, and you probably make your 10,000 back if you're making a good enough game at a reasonable price and people are happy with it. And then you make some profit, it keeps you in business, it pays your expenses, all your employees, all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. And then at the end, if the license just means you can't create more underneath it, but you can still sell it, well, it helps the people who've actually earned the right to sell this thing, because not only do they pay for it to sell it, they actually produce something that is repeatably created. If it was a book about John Wick, whether it be a graphic novel, an actual novel, whatever the case might be, or if it was based off of an actual person in real life, and they want to make an autobiography of the real life John Wick or something, if it was made under the time period, you could just sell it indefinitely, because why not? Now, if they want to charge more for the license because of that, sure, go for it. But if no one's going to pay you for that license, you're going to lose out on money either way. So it doesn't really matter. But let's say that John Wick Hex development team can actually sell that indefinitely. Just because they have the ability to sell it past the 10-year plan or the 5-year plan or whatever it is, doesn't mean they're just going to have this mad rush for people to be like, no, take my money. I want to play this game. And then, 5 years after the license, they make $1 billion because it just became super popular all of a sudden for some reason. Maybe the John Wick movie came out. That shouldn't affect the licensing people in any shape or form, because the product was made in the license agreement. The payment for the license agreement was also made. Both parties agreed on it. But why is the product no longer available? Let's say, for example, somebody patents a fork, right? And nobody can make forks ever but this company. But the company sends out a license, and then for some reason, after that license is up, people can't make forks anymore, and that company just disappears. Like the owner died, the patents and everything got lost, whatever. It's a ridiculous, obviously, but let's run with me. Let's say they disappear for forever and they just decide, I don't want to make silverware, or we lost the stuff, so we can't make silverware anymore, like forks specifically. Are you just going to be like, well, I guess no more forks ever? Or are you going to be like, no, they paid for it. They made the product. They should be able to continue to make the product under that license, because that way we don't run out of said fork. I know it's a stupid analogy, but The idea is that why would you ever want to lose access to a product that you could technically just keep getting? Like, do you have any idea how many Lord of the Rings Lego sets I would purchase even after they've been out of print for so long if they were still selling them? And Lego would actually make money off of it because people like Lord of the Rings? I know, shocking. And now you don't have to look. Helm's Deep can be $150 instead of $450. You can actually come up with this stuff, and it benefits the people, which drives them to make it in the first place. But if it's literally like, we're going to make it, and then we're going to just make it disappear afterwards, well, if you can't sell it, let's say they don't sell, 1,000 Helm's Deep Lego sets. Well, if they're no longer allowed to sell it, what do you do with it? Do you just destroy it and lose all that money? Do they just try to clearance them out as quickly as possible and hope they can sell them all? Do they give them to their employees and say, hey, thanks for, whatever, but we can't do anything with this, so we're just out of luck? Like, what do you do with that situation? And my opinion would be just keep selling it, keep making it, and keep selling it. If they want to raise the price for the license, go for it. But if they also want to have just like a passive income, just say, hey, we'll have this auto renewed every 5 years for this much money that they think they're getting out of it. And it's literally just passive income for a company. And they could probably gauge how much they could get out of it. Because again, if I come to you and I say, I want to take your product, your brand, and put it onto this product I'm making over here, because I want to make profit off of it, but I'm also going to pay you for access to that, get percentages, get whatever the case is. And if it's a profitable venture, why would you not want to do that? You could even give it to multiple companies, like Telltale Games. Make a John Wick Telltale Games. Make a John Wick Hex kind of game. They can have them at the same time. Like, they just pay different licensing agreements, and then may the best creator win. Like, that's just how the market should work. It shouldn't be this strange way to fight for superiority or some stupid crap. Like, it should be so easy for people to be like, yeah, I like money. And maybe if you do a percentage, it makes so much money, it funds part of the next movie. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it funds Keanu Reeves' salary specifically. I don't know. It's a shame because we're losing good stuff. And alongside the Stop Killing Games initiative, this is something that was forcibly killed. It's not like that they wanted to kill it. Maybe they wouldn't re-up it. Maybe they couldn't afford to re-up it. I don't know. But if you give them long enough, maybe the content is good. Now, obviously, I don't think that if they lost the licensing, that they can make a DLC. You can't make a DLC without the licensing. It covers both. I'm not trying to be unfair to the person who owns the brand or the IP. I want both parties to get the best of what they can. It's that simple. It shouldn't be complicated. It doesn't need to be complicated. What it does need to be is actually smart for a person to want to buy it, the license that is, and then sell a product. Because let's say I go to Baldur's Gate 3's creators, Larian Studios, and say, I would like to buy a license to make replica swords, wands, staffs, nunchucks, whatever the case is. That one's for you, Shad. I want to make all this stuff, replicas or whatever. And they say, sure, it'll be $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever they deem. We chat it out, we talk about it and say, I think this is a fair amount. You think this is a fair amount. Let's go with that. Now I make the designs. I make everything based off of the game. I build my entire company on making this. And then 10 years down the road, they're like, all right, we're going to yank this because time's up. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to keep selling these because I purchased more or less the blueprints to these designs. I can't design more, but I purchased these blueprints. For them to come and say, well, no. Your entire business is based off of this. but we don't want to renew this. I don't think Larian's this much of a jerk, but maybe they are. I doubt it. They seem to be pretty chill people. But you're not gonna be like, no. We're not gonna renew this. We didn't find it personally profitable. I'm like, you made money, so regardless of how much money I make, you made money. It's my livelihood, my business. I made these weapons to replicate your game's stuff as merchandise. We came to an agreement. Why can't I keep selling these? Now, I hear some of you saying in the comments, going, but you could just renew it. Well, they can turn you down. It's not like just because I apply to, get a license, that doesn't mean I'm going to get it. They can investigate and say, well, this could be brand damage, this, that, or the other. They still have rights to their IP. That's fine. But if you sell something to someone, and that something is a promise, which is what a license essentially is, that they can do with this particular aspect for this particular business, for this particular product and service or whatever, for this particular amount of time, then that's what it is. Now, one could argue that I could go out and I could make 70,000 different weapons. I don't think there's that many in the game to begin with, but you get the point. I could make a whole bunch of blueprint designs, and I could make a whole bunch of them. If I don't sell them, though, I'm out of money. If I do sell them, I have enough money where I could probably offer more for a licensing agreement. If we're doing a percentage-based license fee where for every $100 I make, they get $20. And it costs me $30 to make the thing, so I make basically $50 profit. And that $50 turns into, well, I shouldn't say profit, $50 to go towards all my expenses, and whatever's left at the top is profit for me, or whatever the case might be. I don't know how much they actually cost. I have to ask someone like Shad or somebody who works in the industry of cutlery and whatnot. But let's say I made, what is it? $20 goes to them, which leaves $80. And I say, well, it costs to make with expenses. That means employees. That means to blacksmith it or to craft the staves to be a particular look and effect and whatever. Maybe they have lighting effects or something. Maybe they have cool extra little effects that you can use for like cons and stuff. But it's like a real functioning sword. It's a real functioning staff that you can walk with on hikes or something. Let's say it cost me $30 to make that because I'm mass producing them anyway. Or at least a certain amount of production of them, maybe 100 of them or whatever. And then I go out and I make these, right? Well, once I'm done selling them all, I already made the blueprint. I've already made the actual physical item. I've already actually sold it in this time period. They'd be making $20 a piece regardless, which is a killer deal for them personally. Because nobody else, as far as I'd be aware under this circumstance, would be making those for them or through their IP. So it wouldn't hurt them. It would only benefit them because they make free money. Now, do they need the money? Not really. They're already millionaires, if not closing on hundreds of millionaires or hundreds of dollars or hundreds of millions of heirs or whatever you want to call it. I'm tired. But if they do that already, then what's the big deal? Well, not really much. They're not going to probably care too much, but it's basically free marketing for fans of the series. If you could get a legit Baldur's Gate 3 weapon that you could do for your cosplay of Asterion or Shadowheart or whatever the case might be, or Gale or whatever. Well, wouldn't that be cool to have a legit replica and not just a styrofoam based one, like a legitimate one? The staff's made of authentic wood, albeit probably with some drilling to make some wiring if you want to have it glow or have an area effect kind of a thing to it or whatever the case might be. Maybe the swords have something that make it light up in some shape or form, but it's still legit steel. Maybe it has just light that glances off of the steel and makes it glint or something. Like cool effects. I'm not an engineer of anything, so I couldn't tell you how it would work. But if that were to happen, would you not, as a fan of Baldur's Gate 3, be thrilled? But then in one day, it's no longer available. So then you go on eBay and you're like, oh, it's been a month. How much is this? Oh, it's $100,000. Why is it? Oh, because some scalper grabs it and then goes. You literally can solve scalping with this issue. Just want to throw that out there, because usually whenever somebody's willing to buy and you're willing to produce, you don't get scalpers because you just keep making it. Any scalper buying it up is literally the people buying it up, which means you, as the production company, are making a killing. Because you fight scalpers by saying, we're releasing this. They go buy all of it and say, here's some more. They can't keep buying it because eventually they're going to run out of money. And you're just going to keep producing it, because for every 100 of them you sell of that one particular weapon, guess what? You make another 100. And it keeps selling, and it keeps selling, and it keeps selling. And eventually, maybe it'll slow down. Maybe it'll take a breather. But when the next Baldur's Gate 3 or Baldur's Gate 4 comes out, by whoever, it's not going to be Larian or whatever, somebody will get another one. Or maybe they reopen the Divinity series again, which I personally would like. And then now you make Divinity weapons, and then whatever the case might be. And you can eventually just cut off either side if you want to, and just be like, we're just not going to make them anymore because sales went down, whatever the case might be. But let's say 10 years down the road, after the license is gone, somebody just like starts this big campaign. It's like, dude, did you know that Baldur's Gate 3 weapons are freaking great? And then people just like, I want to buy one, I want to buy one, I want to buy. It's good for both companies to be like, well, we get $20 for free, and we don't even have a license agreement active with them. They can make this thing because they make $50 profit. Where's the loss on either party's side? I just don't understand the concept. But of course, IP holders will be like, but, I want to have total control. But. Well, you can have total control of anything that is not made. That's fair as far as I can see. That and some patents and IPs and stuff, I need to reduce their time of power by a lot. But that's an entirely different conversation. But my point is that John Wick Hex kind of gets shafted because those of us who either just learned about it or knew about it, but it was always in the back of our mind, and we just didn't see it on a shelf somewhere, so we didn't think about buying it, now have to go pay way more than it's worth to get access to it. And maybe that thing goes from $70 to $400. Now there's an actual like limit on who can actually get it. And it becomes, oh, well, if you're wealthy, you can afford this. I mean, I'm not wealthy by any means because I buy stuff. And some of it's cheap, some of it not so much. But I'd have a lot more, which would support a lot more businesses if I was able to actually, keep buying something that is normally $100 or $75 or $175. And then instead of having to go to somebody else and buy it for $300, because that's just stupid. It's an unfortunate topic. But what do you guys think? I want to hear what your thoughts are. You leave a comment down below. I can't guarantee I'll agree with you, but I will definitely want to hear your thoughts and maybe even debate an idea or concept in another video. And maybe we'll see. But who knows? Feel free to join the Discord. It's down in the description below. And also Twitter/X if you care to follow me there. I'd greatly appreciate the support, and I'd love to chat with you there on Twitter/X. I will definitely be the easiest to contact on Discord, so if you want to join there as well. We got mad memes. We've got game recommendations. You can pick games for me to stream, all that kind of stuff. Like, what do you want to see? I don't charge yet, so you could get a lot of games, obviously. And maybe some interactions with me. I don't mind pausing games from time to time and just shooting the breeze about whatever suits your fancy. Me and Grey Pilgrim get to talk about a lot of stuff that way. And even Crimson comes in and pops in for a while. So we'd appreciate if you show up, and we'd love to have you there. Obviously, Sundays we have our longer streams. Tuesdays live streams, and then Fridays you get these kind of videos. So hope you come back. It's great having you here to begin with. And if you'd like to see other creators that might have a little bit different of a audience, There's Matt's channel, Unbearable 73. If you're familiar with our Sunday streams, Matt's typically there. Um, Deals with wrestling, pop culture reviews and stuff, movie reviews. It goes on Roman of the Empire's channel every once in a while, or sometimes weekly. And they talk about all sorts of stuff. So if that's their kind of thing, go check out Unbearable 73. And then if you like anime or news from Japan or anything on pop culture, how pop culture is dealing with anime or vice versa, check out Crimson Law. It's a cool dude. Um, your support of those guys supports me by just supporting them, and you don't have to pay a penny. Ironically, I just like to have cool people succeed. It's that simple. But yeah, check them out and check out the Discord, Twitter/X, and videos. I'd love to see you guys in the chat on live streams. So come hang out, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesdays. And then noon on Sundays, you get the Council of the Light topics. And then on Fridays, you just get me. Which, I mean, let's be honest, you don't come here for me. You come for the sweet music at the beginning and the exit, the intro and outro. But yes, or you want to look at my gorgeous collection of awesome, cool stuff. And I also just added this bad boy, Star Wars Rogue Squadron for 64, because it was cheap, but legit, and I like it. And it was what I grew up on, so it was fun. Pretty sure I already own it, but I wanted the box, so it was cheap. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming. Let's talk Lord of the Rings. Let's talk Wheel of Time. Let's talk video games. Let's talk music. Whatever it is you want to talk about. And also in the Discord, you can have a chance of winning free games. So check that out. So thanks everybody for sticking around, and we will sign off from here. So thanks everybody for stopping by. Remember, my friends, walk in the light.